Of course, it's great to see cars be released to the market. After years of brainstorming, designing, accounting and constructing, it would be ridiculous to not release a car. However, let's hone in on the beginning of that cycle. When a car is still on paper, designers have literally unlimited possibilities in what they can design. When it comes to building cars for a mass market, more extravagant design aspects have to be refined. This therefore opens up the world of the concept car. A concept car is a singular model a manufacturer will design and build to test the viability of a design of a new car. They will then reveal these concepts to the public, usually at auto shows, and if that reveal is successful, it enters full production, perhaps with a few changes. If not, well, back to the drawing board, but at least we'll be left with a cool looking car. Today I wanted to take a look at some of the coolest concept cars in history. Of course, there have been thousands produced, so I can't cover them all, but without further ado, welcome to the Wild West of the concept car. I'll keep this segment about the Lancia Stratos Zero concept quite short since I've talked about it twice already. In short, when Lancia needed a new car to compete in the WRC as the Fulvia was beginning to show its age, the design house Bertone drew up and built this flashy little thing. Known as the Stratos Zero concept, it was easily one of the most eye-catching cars of the time, heck, even to this day. Of course, it was designed by Marcello Gandini of Lamborghini fame, so it was going to look at least a little good. It was powered by a 1.6 litre Lancia Fulvia V4 engine, and its futuristic role managed to land itself a minor role in the 1988 film Moonwalker, alongside everyone's favourite king of pop. There isn't really much to say about this thing. It looks fantastic, and apparently it did to the Lancia executives too, as when they saw it they commissioned Bertone to design the production variant of the Stratos. In the end, it allowed for one of the best rally cars in history to be born, and it also had a direct hand in the design of the much loved Lamborghini Countach, yet another cult classic of a car. Speaking of Lamborghini, the Cala or however you pronounce it, is one of the most recognisable concept cars to this day. It first debuted in 1995 at the Geneva Motor Show and was brought around to replace the Lamborghini Jalpa, which had ended production in 1988. Ital Design created this beauty to show what a Lamborghini of the new millennium could look like. It also borrowed a number of components from the previous Lamborghini prototype, the P140, coincidentally also designed by Gandini. God, he just keeps on showing up in these things, doesn't he? As well as borrowing elements from previous Lambos like the Miura and the Countach. The V10 powered Cala could supposedly make 395 horsepower, resulting in a top speed of 181 miles per hour. But never mind that, I think the best thing about the Cala is of course its appearance. You can just tell this thing was born out of the 90s, and don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. It looks awesome. But on the downside, it never made it to production. When Lamborghini was bought out by Volkswagen in 1998, the project was shelved and it was never thought of again. Sort of. I mean, here's a picture of the Cala, and here's a picture of a Gallardo. Not direct relatives, sure, but there is so much of the Cala's DNA in the Gallardo, it's hard to say that they aren't related. Plus, they're both powered by a V10. I'd say that's good enough. So, the BMW M8 is a thing. It's a car that exists. It was launched in June of 2019, and the story can't go back much further than that, can it? Well, actually, it can. This M8 is the M variant of the current second Gen 8 series, which was introduced in 2016, but the first generation of the 8 series debuted all the way back in 1990, production lasting until 1999. As you can probably guess, work was done to convert the first Gen 8 series into a proper supercar. A lot of weight was ditched, such as the rear seats and the pop-up headlights, and this was paired with a naturally aspirated 6.1 litre V12 engine capable of 549 horsepower. This all meant that the M8 concept could reach a supposed 198 miles per hour, and the M8 was shaping up to be a little Bavarian beast. But the concept was quickly smothered. The development cost for such a low volume car would have put the price upwards of double that of a Porsche 911 of the time. This meant that the M8 concept was quickly axed, and that was the end of that. The new M8 may be a second coming of the name, but is it a true return of this crazy concept born out of the 90s? Who knows? I'd also like to interject just here once again to advertise my Instagram page. I want to have a wider presence on the internet other than just YouTube, so I've set up this account as a way to have a more constant flow of content for you guys. I've really enjoyed setting it up and I'd appreciate a follow. Link is in the description. The story of the Volkswagen W12 is a surprisingly long-lasting one. The concept was originally commissioned by the higher-ups at Volkswagen. The sports car had to be powered by a 12-cylinder engine, had to be mid-engined, and had to have Volkswagen's own four-wheel drive system, dubbed the Synchro. What resulted was the W12 Synchro, revealed at the Tokyo Motor Show in 1997. The car was designed by, oh look, once again, Italdesign. The 5.6 litre W12 engine made 414 brake horsepower. The concept seemed to be well liked, and the engine was proven to be quite successful. It eventually went on to be used in cars like the Phaeton and the Touareg, both launched in 2002. So, that to be that right, the concept was revealed and no more was heard about it. Well, no. In 1998, VW once again brought the W12 into the spotlight with the W12 Roadster. Basically an open-top W12, same engine, but it was now rear-wheel drive. And for a third time, 2001 saw VW make another return to the W12, this time revealing the W12 Nardo concept. This bright orange version had a much larger 6-litre engine making 591 brake horsepower. However, the Nardo did make a name for itself on the 23rd of February 2002, when Volkswagen sent their Nardo around the Nardo Ring in Italy. The 24-hour continuous run saw the car do 4,800 miles, averaging around 200 miles per hour. Through this, the car managed to earn 6 world records, and is the reason it was given the subtitle Nardo. The W12 obviously never made it to production, however it was clear that, just by looking at it, that the W12 was a direct predecessor to the infamous Bugatti Veyron, both in styling and with the engine. However, considering that Volkswagen owns brands like Lamborghini, Audi, Bugatti and Bentley, it's a real shame that we've never seen a true Volkswagen sports car, but the W12 gives a glimpse of what could be possible. But what about those more quote-unquote extreme concepts? Surely if car designers have almost unlimited possibilities at this point in time, there has to be some crazy designs. Well, to see that, let's first jump back to the 1950s. It's fair to say that the 50s were a crazy sort of time. There was a lot of crap going on, but a notable thing that was discovered and made popular was nuclear fission. It became so popular, people actually began to think it was going to replace things like, traditional petrol and diesel. Yeah, that never happened, did it? But if you've ever played a Fallout game, you know where this is going. The Ford Nucleon was a concept drawn up in 1957 which was powered by a nuclear reactor at the rear of the vehicle. Now I am kind of cheating with this inclusion because Ford never actually built a proper concept car for the Nucleon, only mocking up a scale model. However, I couldn't miss out this thing. The car would be fueled by uranium. To fill up on this so-called gas, the car would still go to recharging stations and would instead have the entire reactor swapped out for a new one when it ran out of fuel instead of having petrol be pumped in. Each reactor would supposedly have a range of around 5,000 miles. Yeah, this, as you can probably guess, went nowhere. Nuclear-powered cars didn't really take off at all. In fact, they didn't really drive anywhere at all. Good thing too, not because I'm terrified of the idea of mass nuclear power, more because this thing is god-awful to look at. I'm sorry, even if you're all about that 50s aesthetic, you gotta admit this thing just looks weird, and I get it's a prototype, but don't skip leg day, bro. There are a lot of things in life that just make you go, what the f***? But you've all heard of Kalashnikov, right? Those Russian guys who manufacture guns, most notably their assault rifles? Of course you have. What you may be asking is how that has anything to do with this video. Well, I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Kalashnikov CV-1. Good God. Well, I'll just give you a few seconds just to take that in. Yeah, just give it a real good look. Now, why would a thing like this exist? Well, apparently Kalashnikov have become tired of just being known as the Soviet gun manufacturer, so to rebuild their identity, they tried to make a car. Yeah, let's get that appearance out of the way. It's unique. Apparently, the designers wanted to go for a retro look. Now, retro cars can be amazing to look at. I mean, back at the Stratos for a second, the F430 Stratos, borrowing heavily from the 1970s design of Italian past, is fantastic. Here, they decided to borrow some design points from the ever-loved IZH 21252 Combi from the 1970s. Maybe not quite the type of retro I was talking about, but hey ho. However, that's not the main thing I'm concerned about here, believe it or not. The CV-1 is an all-electric car. Well, fair enough, it looks like the Russians are finally wanting to be environmentally friendly, good on them. However, apparently, they also want the CV-1 to be a direct competitor to Tesla. Yeah, that Tesla. I imagine Elon is quaking in his boots right now. Surprisingly though, the CV-1 is rated at 680 horsepower. You may want to take that with a grain of salt, but good God, imagine that thing hurtling towards you at 200 miles per hour. I could say so much more about this car, but I won't. I'm too scared to. But just know that this thing does exist. It probably shouldn't, but there you go. So as you can see, there is something special about concept cars, whether it's simply the fact that they look or sound amazing, or the fact that it provides a window into the inner workings of car manufacturers. In many ways they can be better than the production car that's based after them. There are so many more concept cars I could have looked at, but once again I'll pose the question of whether you would enjoy a part 2. Until then, thank you for watching, and take care.